Did a lot of good things, did enough things in that game that you cannot do against a better opponent. So we've got to get some things corrected, and we'll do that. We started that yesterday. But I was really proud of how we competed, how hard we played, and how efficiently we played offensively the first half, and then I thought defensively we played well the whole game. So got Vandy this week. They got a couple extra days. They played last Thursday night. It's going to be a tough, hard-nosed, physical football game is what we're anticipating. They've got good players. Their offensive line is really, really big. They got two really good backs. Their quarterback, I think, is they've settled in on him, and I think they're a lot better at that position than they were last year, and that's no disrespect to the guys they had last year. But I really think that, they got their receiver back, CJ, who they lost last year. So they've got really good players on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, everybody knows how good they are. They did a really remarkable job against South Carolina last week. Really did a good job against us and the entire SEC last year and how good they are. So they're very well coached, do a good job. They're very sound in the kicking game. So we're expecting like I said earlier, a really tough, hard-nosed, physical football game. So I'll open it up to questions.
Coach, how do you prepare for a back like Ralph Webb? I mean, last year you guys faced him, and, he's physical, tough-nosed. What do you tell your defense to prepare for?
You know that, we faced Derrick Henry at Alabama last year, Louisiana Tech back. We faced good backs all year. We'll face them again this year. Anytime you face a good back or a back as strong as Webb, you've got to do a good job of your fundamentals. You've got to tackle well. You got to get extra hats to the ball. So you just have to do a good job. He's going to break arm tackles, so you cannot do that. So you got to do a good job fundamentally, being in a good football position. You've got to come to balance when you tackle, and you've got to be physical in how you tackle as well.
Two established guys on the outside at cornerback. How can your young receivers be successful against them?
Well, we got a lot of new faces, in our skill positions right now, especially at wide receiver. So we've got to continue to work and improve each day at practice. They've got good players, like I said. Their defense was one of the best in the conference last year. It was one of the best in the country last year. So you've got to, when you face good people, you have to rely on your fundamentals. You have to do what you're coached to do. And you can't get out there and freelance and say, I'm going to try this or I'm going to try that. You've got to go out and do your job, do how you've been coached to do for the last 6 weeks, 5 weeks, and go out and compete. And when you get an opportunity to make a play on a ball, you got to come through and make it.
Coach, how do you prepare for an offense when the coach like Derek Mason seems to have such unpredictable patterns in the way he substitutes his quarterbacks?
Unpredictable ways in how he what now?
And how he substitutes his quarterbacks.
I've only seen one game, and to me it wasn't anything unpredictable. They planned as a coaching staff, I guess, that they were going to make a quarterback change, let two quarterbacks play. So that happens a lot. Alabama played 3. I watched a little bit of Texas and Notre Dame last night, and Texas put in their quarterback in certain situations. So I'm sure Coach Mason and his staff had a plan for what they were going to do. So I don't see anything unpredictable about it. You can't sit there and say, oh, they're bringing this quarterback in. They ran the same plays against South Carolina that they did when they had their other guy in there. So you play football, there's going to be a lot of substitutions. There's going to be some receivers at running backs, linemen, everybody comes in there. You play the game. You don't worry about who's in there at quarterback or who's in there at wide receiver. So I don't see anything unusual about what he did.
Rick, talk a little bit about the efficiency of what the offense did, particularly in the first half when you had the ones in there. And when did you realize that a pass hadn't hit the ground for the first 22?
Well, I didn't realize that until Mark told me after the game. But there was a point, in there that, I said, we've completed a bunch of balls here in a row. So I didn't know the number. I just knew it was a lot. I thought we were, like I said after the game, I thought we were pitching and catching pretty good. So you're not sitting over there counting, anything like that. But it was pretty incredible to be able to complete 22 balls in a row. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that have to work together for that to happen. And, Brent was accurate. Our receivers ran good routes and made good catches, and our offensive line, gave him time to go through his reads and make accurate throws. So, excuse me. So I just, to put up 500 yards and 45 points in the first half, and I guess we completed whatever we ended up completing in the first half was pretty remarkable. But you go back and to me, your practice habits carry over to your games, and those guys were really good this past week in our pass scale, throwing, catching, routes on air, the different drills. I thought we threw and caught the ball well during practice, and it led over to the game.
Coach, you pencil Isaiah Upton into the starting lineup. What does he bring to your offense that makes you comfortable in putting him in there?
Well, there's no starter there. Somebody had to be first, so we're a long way away from naming a starter, at that position. But, he's learning. He's getting better every day. Yesterday or Saturday was the first time he'd ever played in a college football game. It's the first time he'd ever played in a real game, high school or anything, as a wide receiver. So he's learning. He's learning how he's got a wonderful attitude. He works. He's going to be a good player for us. He, got his feet wet. Caught a couple balls Saturday. So he's a good player, and he wants to do good. He wants to help this team, and he's going to get an opportunity more and more as this season progresses because of the injuries that we've had now, especially.
Defense pitches a shutout, first one in a couple of years. And what was it that you liked about the way that they went about their business?
Well, I think the big thing, and I told them at halftime, is you always worry when you in a game like that at halftime when it's, for all intents purposes, it was basically over. It was 45-0, and if we didn't screw it up, we were going to win the game. And I just told them, don't relax, continue to play it, like it's the beginning of the game. And I thought we did that. I thought our mental intensity was really good. I thought our concentration was good. We didn't give up big plays, and big plays in a game like that are usually the result of relaxing, and not doing your job. And, we gave up a 36-yard run there at the end of the game. We had a guy get out of place, so we did a good job of not giving up big plays in the game, and especially in the second half. So I thought we tackled, pretty good for the first game. We didn't have a lot of guys out of place. We didn't have a lot of missed assignments. I thought we harassed the quarterback pretty good, and so I was really pleased with how they played.
Coach, after the big dominating win on Saturday, how do you keep you guys in check and keep from getting big heads going into a big matchup against Vandy?
We hadn't done anything yet. We don't deserve a big head. We had a good game. Guys played good, played hard, but we got a long way to go. And it's a one game. That's coach cliche. Say it every week. You get bored hearing it, but that's what it is. It's a 1 week season, and you don't ever get too big for your britches. You don't think because you did this that it's going to carry over to this week. So we went to work yesterday. We buried Alabama A&M. We put that to bed, and our focus this week will be on Vandy and get ready to play a good SEC football team. They've got some really, really good players, and like I said earlier, it's going to be a tough, physical, hard-nosed game.
Coach, do you think the outcome of the Vandy game could kind of determine the tone for your guys this season, this year?
It didn't last year. It's not going to this year, and we don't put our eggs in one. Hey, man, we got to beat Vandy. If we don't beat Vandy, we can't forfeit. I guess we could forfeit the rest of the season, but you still got to play them. So that's irrelevant. You play one game. I mean, you got Vandy this week, and we hadn't even played a conference game yet. So no, it's not going to determine anything. And we're just trying to be the best team that we can be, and this week. And our focus is on Vanderbilt. And next week it'll be focused on Bowling Green, So it's this game doesn't have anything to do with games 3 through 12.
They do a great job defensively and have under Coach Mason. What is it about what they do that you as a coach really likes? And second part of that, talk a little bit about Zach Cunningham and what a great player he is.
Yeah, Chip, he does. It's hard to get. For a quarterback, or especially a quarterback, your pre-snap read when you're there scanning the defense, your pre-snap read. It's hard to pick up some things what they're going to do. A lot of times, you start with the safeties and you work to the corners and then inside, to give an indicator of what kind of coverage or defense you're going to get on that particular play. But they do a good job of disguising their coverages. They move people around late. They play to their strengths. They do a lot of. It's not unorthodox, but they do a lot of things right before the snap of the ball to try to confuse you. Confuse your offensive line up front. So he does a good job. They've got a really good defense. A lot of people, in the SEC and people they've played, have struggled against them because they do a really good job. So, and then Zach Cunningham is, he's big. He can run. I think he's 6'3", 6'4". He's physical. He was first team All-SEC last year. He's a good tackler. He's the leader of their defense. From watching it on film, he looks like he's the leader, the quarterback of the defense. So he's a really special player.
How much does playing them last year play into this? At least you understand their schemes and stuff like that.
It might help a little bit, but every team is different. They lost some players off that defense last year and offensively, and same with us. We've lost some people. So every team is different. We competed well last year. We didn't finish it out. We had a chance and we didn't finish it out. But I don't know, how much playing against them last year is going to help schematically. We'll have, just one game this year to evaluate them, but I think that, our players, I hope, well, I know they are. They'll be confident going into that stadium here in 6 days. I know they'll be confident. Got an idea of them, it's the first game. I don't know if it helped or not, to be honest with you. I don't got a chance to watch him play. I don't know how to work that Tebow stuff, so I couldn't run stuff back and forth like I am now watching it. So, I was watching. I was a fan. I was watching the game and just you'd see their personnel. But at that time, I was more worried about Alabama A&M, to be honest with you. So, I don't know. I enjoyed watching that game last night, and I enjoyed watching the games last Thursday. Good deal. No, I'm sorry.
All right, there we go. You've been through a lot of these matchups where teams that are local play each other through your coaching career. Last year, obviously played these guys, but how does it change a little bit with your approach towards the players when they play, and a lot of the kids know each other from just being from the area, and then you've got fans telling them, "Oh, you got to win this week," when they might not say that if it's a non-conference opponent from another part of the country. What's your approach been to try to get the players to ignore all that outside noise and emotion that might come from it?
I don't say one thing to them. Every fan that I've ever met, they expect you to win every game, whether it's local or 1,000 miles away. But no, I don't talk about it. It's Vanderbilt. It's an important game because it's this game, and the day when you start emphasizing one game is more important than the other, to me, that's when players look at you and say, well, we don't have to prepare as hard this game or practice as hard this game because this game is not as important as the game. So every game, is to me the same. The fans, they get into all that stuff. That's them. But for a player and for a coach, you don't emphasize one game more important than the other. Because when you do that, then players are going to react to you. They're going to respond to how coaches emphasize something. So I emphasized the Alabama A&M game last week as the most important game on our schedule. And now Vanderbilt is the most important game on our schedule. So that's how we'll approach it. And, you're not going to go out there and practice and be a different coach than you were last week because players see that. You can't be that coach that's this up and down all the time. You've got to remain consistent. I truly believe that players want to know what they're going to get from their coaches on a daily basis, and because players react to that, they respond to that, and this is an important game. It's the most important game on our schedule right now. So that's how we're going to approach it this week. Our players, some of them know their players. We had players last week that knew Alabama A&M players. Same thing next week. We might know somebody at Bowling Green. So let's win today. Let's win today, and that's all I talk about, being the best we can be today. I appreciate you guys coming. Have a good day.